to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network, live every Sunday with the very latest food, beverage, and travel trends.
Fabulous.
Now here's the host of our show, Mr. Randall White.
And a very good morning, everyone. I was tweaking the open there a little bit. If you are a very alert listener and pay attention to such things, that is our lovely and talented Kira Clapper. You see her, for those of you up in the Bay Area, you would see her on ABC 7 up there. Mm-hmm. She's fantastic, and but we couldn't let Monica go completely, so you can hear Monica's fabulous in the background. Good Sunday, fun day morning, everyone. Great to have you listening today and each and every Sunday as we discuss trends in food, beverages, travel, and tourism. And we always do what, Patty Pyburn? We keep it healthy and sustainable.
Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm. We're broadcasting live from our studios here on the Central Coast this morning, and I'm not sure how it is where you live, but knowing our radio footprint, you're probably dealing with cloudy skies as well. We'll get a complete check of the weather from Patty in just a moment. But this hour of the Eat, Drink, Explore radio program is brought to you by Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September 27th through the 30th. That's just a couple of weeks away. It culminates California Wine Month. So that means what? Oh, today's the 16th. Yeah, we are smack dab in the middle of California Wine Month, and we'll send it off in fine fashion at the end of September. Okay, straight ahead on this hour, Patty, you know how I am about magic pills. Don't believe in them.
I know, but I keep hoping that you're wrong and that one's coming out.
Well, I don't know. This one could be, Dr. Oz. I don't watch him. My parents love him. He talked about this green coffee bean extract. And apparently there's this chemical in there, and he had Dr. Lindsay Duncan on the show, as did The View, as did the Today Show, and now Eat, Drink, Explore Media. We have him coming up next to talk about how it works.
Interesting.
And, yeah, Dr. Oz did his own separate study and apparently found that it worked.
And what does it do for you?
Helps you lose weight.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it made you smarter, prettier, younger, better.
No, it's the magic weight pill.
Thinner.
Yeah.
That's okay.
People lost 2 pounds per week taking the pill, 1 pound on their diets otherwise.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
Really sped up the weight loss. Then a lot of our friends have either a gluten intolerance or have celiac disease, where they absolutely cannot have gluten in their diet because it seizes up the digestive tract. And for those people, beer has become something they just can't have.
Right.
Well, now,
that's a bummer.
Right. There is a gluten-free beer out there made with barley. One of our good friends had it last night, and thumbs up. Everything's digestive this morning, okay? And we did a taste test. Everyone loved it. We'll talk about that coming up later this hour. And then we're going to help you become a jet setter on a budget.
I like that.
Which is always fun. Right, because, we like to have good times, but we don't want to spend a ton of money.
Well, you want the jet set lifestyle.
Right. But right now, it's time to get a check of the news with Miss Patty Pyburn. What do we have, Patty?
Well, good morning, all you Eat, Drink, Explorers out there. We are looking at the stories that we are following on this Sunday morning. Randall, pay attention. A disappointing study this week for those of us who love our wine fully loaded. According to a study out of Spain, the alcohol in red wine may hinder the drink's cardiovascular benefits. The study indicates that non-alcoholic red wine would be a healthier choice. Researchers say subjects who drank this version showed a significant decrease in blood pressure, and similar results were not found with those who drank wine with the kick. All right, so you should avoid eating certain fish and shellfish right now from California's Channel Island area. A dangerous level of a nerve toxin has been found in some seafood coming from this area. The California Department of Public Health says mussels, clams, crab, lobster, anchovy, and sardines are affected. The problem can be found in other species as well that have just not yet been tested. Now, domoic acid that's the problem, is a naturally occurring toxin that can cause illness or even death in humans. All right, New York City's newly approved plan to stop the sale of sugary drinks in containers larger than 16 ounces or supersized sodas could have ramifications here in California. The State Center for Public Health Advocacy says the New York decision gives a boost to cities like Richmond and El Monte, where versions of a soda tax are on the ballot this November. Studies have shown soft drinks are one of the top calorie sources behind childhood obesity. Some rare birds showing up on California's Central Coast. This is according to the Audubon Society. In the past week, bird watchers are reporting red crossbill sightings near Montaña de Oro State Park and Morro Bay. The birds typically live in dense forest areas far from the ocean, but apparently travel far distances some years looking for a good cone crop. So they're after the pine nuts?
Yeah, coniferous.
All right.
Forest.
So keep your eyes peeled for those, especially if you go up to the Morro Bay Avocado Margarita Festival this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Randall White, that is the latest from the Eat, Drink, Explore news desk. Quick check on our weather.
Yes.
I don't know how it was when you came into work today, but
Overcast.
it was actually some pretty intense fog on Highway 227. So we're seeing patchy fog on the Central Coast and up in the northern parts of California this morning. But it's all expected to burn off. We are expecting clear, sunny skies right here in the San Luis Obispo area, warming up to about 80 degrees for us. If you're farther inland, Paso, Cuyama, California Valley, into the 90s.
And California, you know that you can pretty much take that forecast and
Yes.
just apply it up the coast. And
Los Angeles will be warm and sunny up in the Bay Area. A little bit cooler in the high 60s, but partly cloudy today and tomorrow.
And up at Lake Tahoe, lots of sunshine. And Ricardo, for the people viewing online, are they looking at the weather picture right now?
Yes.
Okay, well, this is courtesy
beautiful.
of Tahoe TV and the fine folks at Tahoe TV. They're wonderful. I spoke to them on the phone about a week ago. And we're looking on the North Shore at just one of the many docks that are there. And you can see crystal clear skies. I love Lake Tahoe. It's so wonderful, Patty. And so, a great place to go and lots of sunshine there today. So,
Beautiful.
yeah, so I'm going to move this Ricardo away from here, and I'll tell you why I have to do that. Well, I'm not going to get into the technicalities of that. Never mind.
The behind-the-scenes magic of live radio.
Right. Exactly. Okay, coming up next is our Magic Pill segment in our health and fitness period of
You
the show.
have been a doubter and a naysayer for years, and I have just kept hope alive, hoping.
I don't know. I don't know if this if it works or not, and I'm certainly not going to put my stamp of approval on it. But I did want to speak to the guy who has been making headlines for the past couple of weeks because of this. I guess it's an extract. It comes from green coffee beans. And the reason why it has to come from green beans, apparently, is because when you roast the beans, this particular compound alters.
It changes.
And
Okay.
changes, yeah. So you have to get it from the green beans. And what it does is it helps you lose weight. It blocks fat production or something in your body. I don't know.
I want to hear more.
I know. And so we'll be talking about that. Then we will be headed to Portland, Oregon to learn about a new beer out that they make with barley, but it's gluten-free. And you say, how could that be? Because barley contains gluten. That's why I can't drink beer, if you have celiac disease.
Portlandia, here we come.
Oh, I love that show. That's a good one. 8:14 the time on this Sunday morning. You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network. I'm your host, Randall White, joined by the lovely and talented Patty Pyburn, and we are back in just a moment. During its heyday in the 1920s and 30s, San Luis Obispo County's Hearst Castle saw many a lavish party, attended by the rich and famous. Now you too can head to the castle for a once-in-a-lifetime experience featuring local, farm-inspired cuisine to celebrate the rich history of locavore living that Mr. Hearst pioneered in the region as you sip wine and sample fresh seafood, locally grown produce, and meats from nearby farmers and ranchers. Eco-friendly wine lovers will appreciate the vine-to-glass theme carried throughout the event, featuring the best vintages from the region. It's part of opening night for this year's Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September 27th through the 30th, to culminate California Wine Month. To purchase tickets and for a full listing of activities, head to savorcentralcoast.com. The historic Santa Margarita Ranch, exactly halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles off Highway 101, was founded in the mid-1700s and served as an assistant mission to the nearby mission in San Luis Obispo. The 14,000 acres that make up the ranch today have served a variety of purposes over the years, including grazing land for large herds of Mexican cattle, prime vineyard land, and this fall will once again host the main event for Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September the 27th through the 30th, to culminate California Wine Month. Meet top chefs from the Central Coast as well as nationally recognized culinary celebrities. Several chef demonstrations will be featured, including the Battle of the Bay, hosted by the Food Network's Ted Allen of Chopped. To purchase tickets, head to savorcentralcoast.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. A very, very good Sunday morning to you on this September the 16th. Mostly overcast wherever you may be listening to the show, unless you're in some of the far inland valleys, maybe Fremont or San Jose. You might have some clear skies at this point. But any of you hugging the coast, which is the majority of our listening area, you probably are experiencing gray skies. But no fear, those will burn off as they have all week long. We've had this same pattern. Lots of fog in the morning and then really warm afternoons, right, Patty?
Yes, indeed. And I witnessed the fog driving in, but the Weather Service assures us sunny, warm conditions throughout the afternoon hours.
Aha! I like it. I love afternoons like that. And I think Patty and I'm not sure, we're going to spend it out at the coast having some brunch, right?
That is the plan.
Okay. The Cliffs in Shell Beach, one of our favorite places. All right. And we will be packing in a lot of calories, which is typical of our Sunday afternoon.
You have to bring that up.
Following the show. I've done very well since mid-June through now, mid-September. I've dropped 20 pounds. And it was relatively easy. I just scaled back the amount that I eat, know, but I kept eating the same general foods.
So you ate less.
I ate less.
You exercised more.
Exercised more. I added some lap swimming to my daily routine. I take a couple of days off a week just because my shoulder starts to act up if I swim.
And then
day.
You reduce your calories by less alcohol.
I did. I scaled way back on that, but I've reached where I want to be now, so I can work that back in and just now it's all about maintaining. But some people want, a quicker sort of
Yes.
They have a like a high school reunion
Don't
coming
we
up.
all want that? Results now.
Right. And I felt the way I did it was relatively quick, you know, 2 months, 3
Yeah.
months in there. But some people want more than that. And now, if you check the headlines, and this is the sort of thing that you follow, you have seen a lot of talk about green coffee bean extract, or GCBE. I've seen it featured on The View. I've seen it on, I think it was the Today Show or Good Morning America, one of those morning programs. And then also on Dr. Oz. It really grabbed headlines. As soon as Dr. Oz puts his stamp of approval on something, then you really hear a lot about it. Well, the person that you've seen on all of these shows is Dr. Lindsay Duncan. He has a company that makes this green coffee bean extract. So he's sort of the expert on it. And he joins us right now to tell us how it works. Good morning, Dr. Duncan.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Do you go by Dr. Lindsay or Dr. Duncan?
Usually Dr. Lindsay's fine.
Okay, great. Yes, well, we're doing fantastic. And if this is the real deal, then Patty and I are doing a lot better.
Yes.
Sounds like you've already done pretty good yourself.
Yeah, I have, and you know, as a doctor, it's fewer calories in, more exercise, and you can lose the weight. But if you want to speed it up a little bit, there's this green coffee bean extract. What is this all about, and how did you find out about it?
Yeah, well, I have a clinic, and I've been practicing helping people to get healthy without using drugs or medicine for 28 years. And so I've been in the trenches, and I've seen every type of condition, and I've only seen obesity and weight issues a few thousand times. And so when you deal with this, you learn what's effective quickly. And my job is basically to find plants that help people. And obviously I've researched many plants that help people to lose weight. And when Dr. Oz called my office and said, hey, if you had to pick one healthy food that does no harm to help people to lose weight, what would you pick? It was very easy for me to say, well, I'd pick a bean, which is really a seed. It's not a bean. And I would pick green coffee bean, which is really green coffee seed, but that's another topic. and they said why? And I said, well, look at your clinical trials. You've got a series of very, very revealing clinical trials that lead to a very obvious answer.
Okay, so Dr. Lindsay, this GCBE, green coffee bean or seed extract, what is it exactly, and how did someone even think, let's find out what's in a green coffee seed?
Yep, great question. So basically it's just a bean or a seed, but people know it is a bean, so we'll call it a bean, but it really is a seed. And it's basically what we drink every single day without roasting it. So here's the way it works. When you roast the coffee bean, it's green. It turns brown. And when you roast it, you remove much of the active compound, which is called chlorogenic acid. Okay. Now, chlorogenic acid is the hero of this entire story here because it has a specific mechanism of action that causes us to lose weight, and we can talk about that in a minute. This is how they discovered it. First, there was an Italian study that showed that it helped people to their blood sugar to drop. Okay, highlight that, blood sugar drops. Then there was a French study, these are all on human beings, that showed that it helped to increase lean muscle mass. It basically turned fat to muscle or mass ratio. It improved that. Then all of a sudden there's the big study where at the American Chemical Society in San Diego, California, which is probably the biggest chemical conference in the world, that's when they said, okay, we did a study. There was a study done in Scranton, Pennsylvania, at the University of Scranton. It was a 22-week study. It was a double-blind, placebo, crossover, controlled, linear dose study. This is as high as you can get. And here's what happened. People only took 700 to 1,050 milligrams. They lost 17% of their body fat. They lost 16 pounds each. They lost 10.5% of their total body weight. They had no side effects, and they didn't change their diet or their exercise patterns.
Dr. Lindsay, that study you just mentioned, is that the one that was funded by Applied Food Sciences?
Is it the one that was?
I just want to be completely honest with our listeners, because one of those studies, one of the one that was the chemical one was funded by a maker of a green coffee supplement. So I just, just
to be transparent.
They might have followed every scientific principle and really had great results, but I just want to be completely transparent.
I don't think that it was.
Okay.
It was done by the chemistry department of psychology department at the University of Scranton in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And it was done at the Health Sciences Clinic. And then I think what they did was it was a takeoff of another study from Health Sciences Clinic in Bangalore, India.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So what I do as a nutritionist and a naturopath is I always discount the ones that are funded by a company or a brand or somebody that has a financial interest in the outcome.
Right.
Okay.
So that's why the university studies are the ones that myself or Dr. Oz always really we turn the magnifying glass up on those, and those are the ones that we're the most interested in.
Right.
So Dr. Lindsay...
in this whole thing, it sounds too good to be true, and it doesn't.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
I've got my name and my reputation, and you guys, you've done your research, so I go on the top talk shows in the world talking about plants and ingredients, and so if this thing didn't work and I put my name on this, then that's just going to hurt my name and my reputation. I've done my research on this, and there is no magic bullet. There's no question about that, and it doesn't work for everybody.
Uh-huh.
But when you understand the mechanism of action, when I explain that to you in a minute, you're going to go, okay, now I get it. Now it makes sense.
Well, we have about a minute left for you to do that. So how does it work exactly?
It helps to inhibit or stop the absorption of sugar into the bloodstream. And when that happens, sugar turns to fat, and fat deposits in the midsection of the body or cellulite deposits in fat. What it does is it stops that absorption of sugar, and then the body goes, ooh, wait a minute, I need sugar, and so it goes to the liver and says, liver, release stored glycogen or sugar so we can have fuel for energy. So you have two effects happening. You have the body losing weight because sugar's not building up in the blood, and you have the liver detoxing and dumping stored glycogen, and so you almost physiologically have to have weight loss. You almost can't not have it.
Well, the tests seem to show that it's working. The jury's still out, but why not give it a try, I guess? Dr. Lindsay Duncan talking about the green coffee bean, or we now know seed extract. GCBE is what you'll find it listed as. We have a link to Dr. Lindsay's website online, and we certainly appreciate you coming on Eat, Drink, Explore to discuss it this morning.
Okay, absolutely.
Take care. It's time to channel your inner cowboy or cowgirl with a bit of rustic elegance thrown in for an upcoming culinary experience in Paso Robles at Windfall Farms, an exclusive community that promotes and enhances the sustainability of local agriculture and celebrates equestrian, ranch, and agrarian lifestyles. The Paso Glow event is taking place Saturday evening, September the 29th, from 6 to 10 on the final night of this year's Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September 27th through the 30th, to culminate California Wine Month. The event will wow you with ranch-inspired delicacies prepared by the area's top chefs, the region's best wines, and the warm glow of many illuminated hot air balloons. To purchase tickets and for a full listing of activities, head to savorcentralcoast.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Good morning, everyone. Hope your Sunday fun day is off to a good start so far. Ours is. We're having a good time here in the studio, just shooting the breeze during the commercial break. And we love that you decided to tune in this morning to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio network, where we talk about all things food, beverages, travel, and tourism. And this is our business segment. This is when we take a look at a business that has done something we feel needs a little spotlight on it. And we have a very good friend. In fact, he works the controls just to the left of us over here, the audio controls every single Sunday morning, and is one of the main sponsors of Eat, Drink, Explore radio producer. Anthony, and he has a hard time digesting gluten. You don't have celiac, though, right? It's yeah. He didn't test positive for celiac, but he has a gluten allergy, and when he eats bread or drinks a beer, it really does a number on his digestive system. Whereas if you have celiac, your entire digestive system seizes up.
And you're hearing more about people who are aware now that they are in some degree bothered by gluten in their diet. I think there's just a raised awareness. People are thinking, oh, I'm having some issues. Maybe it's that. And they look into it and it is. So You're seeing way more products now catering to that.
That's true. And one of the holes in the picture has been in the beer industry because beer is made with barley, and barley, just like wheat, has gluten in it. And so, and then in some cases, you have a wheat beer, for instance. And how do you get around the whole gluten issue when it comes to brewing a beer? So there were some beers out there that people made with an ingredient. We'll ask our guest in just a moment. I can't remember what it's called, but and those just, didn't pass the taste test exactly. But there is a new beer out called Omission, because they've omitted something, and that is gluten. I love the name of it. Omission beer. It's made up in Portland, Oregon by Widmer Brothers, and I did a taste test at home over the weekend. We had a small dinner party, and we literally did a blind taste test. We put a Widmer Pale Ale product right next to the Omission Pale Ale in two similar glasses. We knew which one was which, but the one everyone doing the tasting did not. And hands down, across the board, everyone loved it. No one could pick it out.
And no one thought
exactly.
there's something missing in this beer.
No,
Good,
In fact, it was a back and forth. Some people were like, well, this is the one. This is this is the one, And then, but everyone answered the same way. Can you tell a big difference between these two? And everyone said, no, not at all. In fact, it's very difficult for me to choose one that I think is the gluten-free beer. So to find out more about this product, we welcome Terry Michelson. He's the CEO there at Widmer Brothers in Portland, Oregon, and he has a really good reason for trying to find a gluten-free beer. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning to you.
Well, fantastic. And I have to tell you, I had 2 of them last night, and they are delicious. The pale ale version is the only one I've tried. That's my favorite type of beer. And so I grabbed that one when I saw it was available. And I got to tell you, you really did it. This is a great product.
Well, thanks. That's really why we're so excited about this, because we really started from that perspective first. We wanted to make a great beer, something that everybody could enjoy, and then it was important for us, obviously, that it was gluten-free, so we could have that kind of beer available for people that can't tolerate gluten.
And you're one of those people. You've been diagnosed with celiac disease, is that right?
That's right. 12 years ago I was diagnosed, so I've been living with it for a while.
So here you are, the CEO of one of the largest, if not the largest, microbrewery organization in the United States. Everyone has seen Red Hook products. Everyone has seen Widmer products. There's Kona under your label umbrella, and you can't sample any of the products you're making.
Yes, it made it kind of interesting, obviously. When I started in the business, I started with Widmer, that brand, in the mid-'90s, and so I was working with the company for a number of years before I was diagnosed, and then once I shifted, I really had to kind of work from memory and trusting the great beer people we have in the company. But it's frustrating to not be able to enjoy something that I really love.
Right, and then as I understand it, the brewmaster there at Widmer, his wife also has celiac disease.
That's right. His wife was diagnosed in, I think it was 2005 or 2006, and at that time, his name is Joe Casey. We started talking about trying to brew a beer that was gluten-free. There were starting to be some of the beers out in the market that used alternative grains, sorghum, rice, tapioca. And we experimented, and quite frankly, the frustration was we just couldn't get a beer that we thought met the American beer consumers' taste demands. Mm-hmm. And although, certainly I think people that drink gluten-free beer appreciate those other beers, it's just not the same experience. So we decided not to go to market with the beers that we'd experimented with alternative grains. And then a couple of years ago, Joe was at a seminar, learned that there were some really interesting things happening in other parts of the world and in Europe. They've been working on this for a while, and basically it's a process that you brew the beer with traditional beer ingredients. That's why it tastes like all beer, and then there's a process to remove the gluten on the other side, which gives you the best of both worlds.
So the gluten is removed after? I was thinking it was somehow removed from the barley beforehand.
No, ours actually is brewed in the brewing, is removed in the brewing process, and there's a number of steps to that. We start with grains that are lower in gluten to start with, the malt that are lower in gluten to start with, and all through the process it's very stringent. But there's an enzyme that's added after it's been through the brewing process and it's in fermentation that does the final job of removing the gluten. The key to us, though, is because we knew this was cutting edge and we knew it kind of goes against what celiacs are trained, that when you see barley, wheat, those kinds of things, you
right.
run the other direction, is we wanted to make certain that we knew it was safe. And so that the important aspect for us was to be able to test every batch after it's in the bottle to make certain that at no point during the process, there's been any contamination or anything that was missed. And that was really the final piece to the puzzle to make us comfortable with it working. So our beer is tested with a cutting-edge test called R5 Competitive ELISA that tests for how much gluten is left in the beer. Mm-hmm. And there's an international standard now that's been kind of established that anything under 20 parts per million, which is what they use in Europe, what they use in Canada, is safe. And so we actually we have tests available online, and you can look at your batch number on the bottle and go on and see what your actual test score is.
So you can actually, you go pick up a 6-pack, you can find the corresponding number on your 6-pack, and then look it up online to see how the test came out.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. We picked up a 6-pack locally here at Beverages and More, and the man at Beverages and More had a question that I promised I would ask. He said that they're not allowed to sell it. They're not allowed to say that it's gluten-free. There are differing rules from state to state, even though your tests show that it's not. Here in California, is there some sort of trick to that?
Well, it's the regulatory environment for beer is kind of unique to start with. So there's a federal regulation process. The FDA in this country hasn't actually made the final ruling on the standards at this point, and the Alcohol Tobacco Tax Bureau monitors labeling and all of that for beer. So because this is cutting edge, there just hasn't been a ruling in this country. We're expecting it very soon, so that's what makes it so that the only place we can say that it's gluten-free is in Oregon, where it's produced at this point. Okay. In the rest of the country, we're not able to say that at this point. Now, worldwide, in Europe, they have the same process, and they're allowed to say gluten-free. In Canada, that's the case. In fact, we're just starting distribution there. So we expect that that will happen in the U.S. very, very soon. Mm-hmm. It's just they haven't made a ruling on kind of this cutting-edge science.
And Terry, right now, people will only find it in bottle form because you don't want to risk a cross-contamination with another beer line, right? If you were to sell it in keg, it might be perfectly okay in that keg, but if they put it on a beer line that had a different beer in it, there could be some gluten left over in the line, and then someone could have really adverse reaction. Correct?
You're exactly right. The whole concern for cross contamination is big for celiacs. So in the beer business, that's one of the key places it could happen once it leaves our brewery. As being a celiac, that's one of the things that we kind of face and have to trust, is that people that are manufacturing whatever products that we're ingesting, that they've done a good job to make sure there isn't cross-contamination. And that's why the testing was so important for us, was to really assure the consumer that this was something that they could feel comfortable with.
We have less than a minute left, and I was just wondering, it sounds to me like the process is similar to people who are lactose intolerant. The enzyme lactase is added to like certain dairy products to get rid of that lactose, and you're also using an enzyme. Is it along the same lines? I'm sure there's some technical differences, but kind of that would be a good comparison.
It's similar in that there's a process that removes the gluten from it. Joe Casey would be concerned if I'd start talking about the science of it, because that's not my expertise. But you're exactly right. There are a number of products out there.
Terry, unfortunately I gotta stop you right there. Terry Michelson, CEO at Widmer Brothers Omission Beer. If you have a gluten problem, check it out. It is delicious. Thanks for joining us this morning, Terry.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Back in a moment. Travel deals. The historic Santa Margarita Ranch, exactly halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles off Highway 101, was founded in the mid-1700s and served as an assistant mission to the nearby mission in San Luis Obispo. The 14,000 acres that make up the ranch today have served a variety of purposes over the years, including grazing land for large herds of Mexican cattle, prime vineyard land, and this fall will once again host the main event for for Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September the 27th through the 30th, to culminate California Wine Month. Meet top chefs from the Central Coast as well as nationally recognized culinary celebrities. Several chef demonstrations will be featured, including the Battle of the Bay, hosted by the Food Network's Ted Allen of Chopped. To purchase tickets, head to savorcentralcoast.com. During its heyday in the 1920s and 30s, San Luis Obispo County's Hearst Castle saw many a lavish party, attended by the rich and famous. Now you too can head to the castle for a once-in-a-lifetime experience featuring local, farm-inspired cuisine to celebrate the rich history of locavore living that Mr. Hearst pioneered in the region, as you sip wine and sample fresh seafood, locally grown produce, and meats from nearby farmers and ranchers. Eco-friendly wine lovers will appreciate the vine to glass theme carried throughout the event, featuring the best vintages from the region. It's part of opening night for this year's Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September 27th through the 30th, to culminate California Wine Month. To purchase tickets and for a full listing of activities, head to savorcentralcoast.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly.
You've waited all week, and it's finally here. The Eat, Drink, Explore Weekly Travel Deals Extravaganza.
8:49 now the time on this Sunday morning, and a very good day to you. It is the point that we've waited for all week. Patty Pyburn, it is the Travel Deals segment. As
Woohoo!
Monica just pointed out, it's the time of the show where we hear insight from the best of the best, the gurus of bargains, the luminaries of budget travel, and this week we are showing you how to become a jet setter for just a fraction of the price. Who doesn't like that, huh?
Who doesn't?
Over the years, when I was in my late teens and early 20s, even into my mid 20s and stuff, I could kind of stay anywhere. You know, like it didn't matter to me. I'll just sleep on the floor. Do you have a place I can stay? But as you get older, you know, your body doesn't really like laying on the floor all that much. And all of a sudden you find that you like super comfortable beds.
And as you get older, you're just not willing to be so flexible and make concessions.
You
want your comforts.
You really do want your comforts. And so if I can find a deal at a top-notch property, then bring it on. And that is why we are bringing on Alex Pasquarello. He is with jetsetter.com. And just as the title might say, these are really top-notch properties. Welcome to the program, Alex.
Good morning, Randall. It's great to be here.
Yes, and we're happy to have you because the first property you're going to talk about is just south of us, where we broadcast, our studio here in California, where we broadcast from, the beautiful Ojai Valley. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. You folks on California's Central Coast have access to some of the most beautiful towns in the country, including Ojai. And the Ojai Valley Inn and Spa is sort of a gem of this town. It's a beautiful resort, 220 acres. A golf course that dates back to the 1920s, mountain views, and one of the best tennis facilities in California. Just a gorgeous resort. And if you're not sporty, there's also a 31,000 square foot spa. So this resort is really everything you need in one place.
And it's really nice to stay in Ojai as opposed to staying in Santa Barbara or Ventura, because there's a lot of wine tasting to be had in Ojai, and you don't want to have to get behind the wheel after that.
Exactly, and you're right in town, and not just the wine tastings, the art galleries, everything that Ojai offers is right at your fingertips. And so we actually have a sale going right now for the Ojai Valley Inn and Spa. Rates are starting at about $215 per night, and that's about 42% off the resort's rack rates. So it's a pretty good savings there, and that sale will be live on Jet Setter for 3 more days. Actually, I've
looked at that exact property, and I've thought, ooh, I want to stay there. And then I saw the price, and I was like, oh, no.
Maybe not.
I don't want to stay there. But for this price, I could reconsider it again. So
Exactly. It's worth it. It's a beautiful spot. And like I said, especially if you're a sporty person, if you like tennis or golf or spying, I like all the above. It's a great stop. And it's within drive distance from most of your listeners there. So head out to Ojai. Have a great time. It's going to be a beautiful fall there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What do you have a place for us? I actually am hoping to plan a trip to Vegas. So, what do we have going on there?
You got to hit Jet Setter up for your Vegas vacation.
Okay.
And I'm psyched right now. We have the Venetian live on Vegas. This is, as I'm sure everyone knows, the Venetian is modeled after Venice. There's actual canals and gondola that ply them. They even import Venetians to the resort, so those Italian accents are real.
Oh, seriously?
So, and there's another reason to hit up the Venetian this fall, and I'm really psyched for this. Tim McGraw and Faith Hill are Vegas is going country. They're bringing in Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, and we have inventory during the first few shows of their new Soul to Soul show at the Venetian in Las Vegas.
Wow.
So, the Venetian is going to be hot this fall. And so those first shows for Tim McGraw and Faith Hill are December 7th through 8th and 14th through 15th.
Mm-hmm.
Log on to Jet Setter. We have rates starting at $120 per night, and that's actually about 40% off of the normal rates at the Venetian. So if you're looking to party, if you're looking to get a little country, the Venetian is where it's at this fall. That sale is live on Jet Setter for 3 more days, and I can tell you that if you miss that sale, we always have Vegas on the site. We want to be your Vegas source, and there's another quite nice resort coming up next week that's in the that new city center development. I can't reveal the name. But,
right. I want to check that out. I'm going to Jet Setter in the middle of the week to see what he's going to
check that out. Check out the Venetian or come back in the middle of the week and you'll see we have another great sale coming live. But if you're looking to head to Vegas, Jet Setter is your one-stop shopping source. We got it all.
I'll tell you, Alex, it's hard for me to keep Patty from two-stepping during the commercial break in here. She is quite the country fan. I am an old-school country. Like I like the going way back to like the George Jones and that sort of thing. But if I was going to pick some modern day country stars, those are the 2 that I would go see.
Very popular right now.
Them both, Faith Hill and Tim McGraw.
I love me some Faith Hill. She's excellent.
Seriously.
And having her and Tim McGraw together, it's going to be one of the hottest shows in Vegas. So
hey, Alex,
you got to check it out.
Let's talk. We're now mid-September, and the fall foliage is starting to change. A lot of people to head to the Northeast where you can really catch some just beautiful fall colors. But you have like a super special spot there. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so we love fall, and especially on the East Coast, as you said. Out in California, it's always beautiful, but the changing of the seasons on the East Coast it's not to be missed. And we have the inside scoop on one of the hottest hottest inns actually on the East Coast. It's called the Bedford Post Inn, and this is an 8-room B&B set on 14 beautiful acres, and it's actually owned and operated by Richard Gere and his wife, Carrie Lowell, and the two of them, they lived in Bedford, and they had been riding past this dilapidated 1760s farmhouse, and they decided to buy it and renovate it, and they turned it into this gorgeous bed and breakfast. And of course, it actually also has a huge yoga studio, and they offer classes daily. So it's bed and breakfast and yoga, and then you're right near the Ward Pound Ridge Reservation, where you can see all the beautiful colors of fall. It just erupts in colors of orange and red, the hemlock and laurel trees. So it's one of our favorite hotels in the East Coast.
Did you say that's upstate New York?
Yeah, Bedford Post Inn is upstate New York. It's I believe it's about 90 minutes from Manhattan if you're flying into New York, and it's one of our favorites here at Jet Setter.
And who knows, you might bump elbows with a celebrity, right?
Yeah, well, we did an interview with Richard Gere, and he was telling us that Martha Stewart is known to ride up on her horse for lunches at their restaurant, which is called Farmhouse. And this restaurant, Farmhouse, is one of the best on the East Coast as well. So you're going to be bumping up against real celebs there. Rates start at $495 per night, which I know is a bit high. But if you book 3 nights on Jet Setter, we're taking 30% off the total. So that's close to 3 nights for the price of 2.
Wow.
So for fall foliage, it can't be beat.
What's the daily rate? 4 something?
$495 per night.
Wow. Jeez.
But if you buy 3 nights, we're taking 30% off.
I better get a cooking tip from Martha Stewart out of that.
Yes, and maybe some organizational help, too. Who knows?
Alex Pasquarello with JetSetter.com. We have a link at Eat, Drink, Explore, of course, for more information. We didn't get to the skiing tips, but if you head to Jet Setter, they've got some good ones there as well. Hey, Alex, we hope to have you back soon. You've got great stuff.
We'd love to be back. Thanks for having me.
All right, stick around. It's our Compass Hour coming up next. The word this week is home, and we take you to some great places. Stick around. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break, and we'll be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break, and we'll be back on the air shortly.
You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network. Now here's the host of our show, Mr. Randall White.
Good morning, everyone. 9 o'clock, straight up. Time to, dust off the hiking shoes, or it's a Sunday morning. There's all sorts of opportunities. And as promised 1 hour ago, Patty Pyburn told us it's going to burn off. The fog's going to burn off. And here in San Luis Obispo, it has.
Yes, sunshine is already streaming through.
It should be a relatively warm day, a nice day to head to Morro Bay for the Margarita and Avocado Festival. How could you not go to that, right?
I know, that's awesome. That's a fun one, and it should be great weather stretching all the way out to the coast. We are expecting a great forecast really for the whole state. I mean, we're in California. Come on.
Exactly. Hey, if you were listening last hour, right before the bottom of the hour, we had a guest on the show, Dr. Lindsay Duncan, talking about GCB extract, which is green coffee bean. And somehow I knew my mom was going to give me a ring on that one.
Yes. And she did.
And she did. She called up to say something that segment could have been twice as long. Both Patty and I had more questions for the doctor. But my mom said that Dr. Oz says it is very important that the key ingredient is
the chlorogenic acid.
Yeah, which goes by another name, and I don't have it at the tip of my tongue,
okay.
But you can research that online. But it needs to be at least, I think she said 45% or something like that. Now I'm throwing out figures, and I
think you're right though, and I think that because actually you said I was a little distracted during the last segment, and I have to admit that I was Google searching GCBE, green coffee bean extract, and most of the products it's about 30 to 50%, and they are recommending that you get one that's about 50%.
Okay, good.
And follow the recommended dosage, which I haven't been able to fully explore all of this, but
because that's the thing with supplements and magic pills, a lot of times they're not regulated, and so you don't necessarily. And this is what I'm sure Dr. Oz's concern is you don't know what you're getting, and people will prescribe, know.
And if a little is good, then a lot more is even better.
Must be better, right? And that is certainly not always the case. So make sure you do your research, and we are not giving a thumbs up or a thumbs down to green coffee bean extract. We don't know. We just wanted to talk to the guy who's causing all the buzz right now.
Yes, and there apparently is quite a buzz about this product.
There really is. People always want to lose a pound or two,
in an easy way, and eat cheesecake at the same time.
Exactly. So all I want to do is maintain now. I've hit my my goal.
You got your target. That's awesome.
I was looking at the shirt that I'm wearing today. It's a little on the baggy side.
It's blousy now.
It's blousing on me. Yeah, and I'm like, I need more fitted shirts, right?
We're just never happy.
we are never happy, right? Hey, next weekend, if you want to support a good cause, Patty, we have about a minute. I want you to talk about the guide dogs thing. You didn't get a chance to finish up with that.
Right. We didn't talk a lot about that in our first hour, but this is a really great fundraiser that's going on, and I'll be doing a story tomorrow morning on KCOI about this. It's Sunday, the 23rd at the Cliffs Resort in Shell Beach, and I believe it is from 2 to 5 in the afternoon. So they're raising money for Guide Dogs for the Blind, nonprofit organization run out of California that provides service dogs for people who have vision problems, completely free of charge.
Wow.
They do not get any state or federal money. It is completely based on private donations, private support. And the amount of money that goes into one single dog to get it ready to take care and work with its owner is about $70,000.
Whoa.
So, because you have to support this whole system of breeding the dogs, training them, caring for them. They have puppy raisers that socialize them for the first couple of years, and then professional trainers who have to really, because they're really the person who owns the dog that they work for. It is their life safety on the line. So a great fundraiser to get involved in.
It sounds like one. So that's next weekend out at the Cliffs. We love it. Another place we love, Kelly's at the Grill at Hunter Ranch Golf Course, one of the best kept secrets on the Central Coast. They are open for brunch right now. Give them a ring. It's a great place to go. Bottomless mimosas. We're back in 1 minute. Stick around. A whole nother hour left.
Eat, Drink, Explore Media is your lifestyle information source. Our focus, food, wine, craft beer, travel, and tourism trends, with a slant towards sustainable and healthy options. Whether it's hot deals or tips for hotels and flights, an update on what's currently fresh at your local farmer's market, or the latest restaurant and beverage news, we've got you covered from 8 to 10 each and every Saturday morning. Live on Crush 92.5 in San Luis Obispo County and online at eatdrinkexplore.com. Also, check out our new free smartphone and tablet app. Simply search 3 words, Eat, Drink, Explore, either in Google Play on your Android device or in the App Store on your iPhone or iPad. This free app gives you access to contests, past radio segments, our Facebook and Twitter feeds, and you can watch live video of the radio broadcast while listening to it here on The Crush. Eat, Drink, Explore Media, your source for the lifestyle you love.
You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network, live every Sunday with the very latest food, beverage, and travel trends.
Fabulous.
Now here's the host of our show, Mr. Randall White.
9:06 the time, and a very, very good morning, everyone. The sun is peeking out behind the fog, hopefully where you live as well. Another awesome day shaping up on the Central Coast. You can definitely tell I was a product of the 80s when
you say awesome.
When I kicked down the awesome word.
If you say radical, then...
Radical, man. Yeah, I was born and raised in California. And, the one thing that I don't say, and being from the Bay Area, I should, because that's where it originated, is hecka, or the other one. Or the other one.
The
I'm just saying hecka.
Hockey sticksa.
Right. In case there's children in the room, I don't want to say the other version. But
yes.
Yeah. I don't.
Well, I'm glad you don't. Actually, it's annoying.
It is kind of annoying.
I don't like that phrase.
That's not my phrase. But we love you being here right now. Patty Pyburn's my co-host, and you are part of our crew right now as you sit with your cup of coffee and listen to the show. This particular hour of the Eat, Drink, Explore radio program, brought to you by Sunset, Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September 27th through the 30th. It culminates, by the way, California Wine Month, which we are midway through right now. So if you haven't done anything to celebrate California Wine Month, make today the day. There's plenty you could do,
right? Randall says.
read the label, make sure it's a California wine, and
go for it.
And have some fun. Hey, and let's see, how would I say this? Feliz Independencia. No, wait. Dia de la Independencia. Or I didn't say that right.
A for effort. Good job.
It's Mexico's Independence Day. It's like their 4th of July. And so a lot of people think that Cinco de Mayo is that, but wrong. It's today, September the 16th. So, a good reason to have a margarita and some avocados at the Morro Bay Festival.
That's right.
We were talking
Head out to the Embarcadero.
All right, exactly. Okay, Patty, you know what time it is, don't you?
It is trivia time.
It
the
is
only reason why I come on Sunday mornings. Let's be honest.
That's right. It is trivia time, 9:08, and we love ourselves some Compass trivia. It is our Compass Hour, and this week's word is home. And based on that word, our guests will be talking about home tasting parties, for one thing. Why throw a dinner party when you can throw a tasting party? And we'll explain why right there. Also, how about making your own beer, wine, cheese at home? There's a shop here in California that has all the supplies you need to do those sorts of things.
Okay.
And it's down the road from us in LA, but if you don't live in LA, it doesn't matter. The vast majority of their sales are online. Exactly. And then finally, leaving home to find yourself. 2 top travel journalists will be in San Luis Obispo. This is sponsored by the Library Association. In fact, you sent me the email on this.
I think I sent you that.
I've been reading the book. It's Judith Fine's book. It is really fantastic, and we will be speaking with them at the end of this hour. But right now, Patty, it is the trivia time, and
yes, it is.
At some point in here, you have to work home into each question, and so I'll let you.
That was a little challenging. I was searching home, and I got all kinds of home sales and home everything, and it was a little tough. But
yes, you got one.
I went with all my questions are based on home brewing.
Oh, good. Okay, so kick down.
So first one, when and where did home brewing? We're talking about beer. When did it begin?
I'm going to say it began like 2,000 years ago in Egypt. And it was inside one of their temples there or something.
Close. Yeah. You're close. It's actually, so the experts do not agree, anywhere from 7,000 to 10,000 years ago.
Oh, okay.
A long time ago, they've been making beer.
So I'm going to give myself the bell on that because
you get a kind of bell. China, Mesopotamia, and Egypt. But China, they think, may have been first in the beer-making realm.
Okay, right. Oh, really? China before Egypt?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Isn't that funny?
Well, they started with the pasta. They started with the paper money. They, seriously, a lot of stuff originating in China.
Okay.
Including the clothes I have on. All right, in 2005, the Napa Valley Sutter Home Winery did which of the following? This is in 2005, okay? 2005. Sutter Home. Everyone's heard of Sutter Home. They began producing varietals other than their famous White Zinfandel.
Okay.
Stopped giving tours of the family home there in St. Helena. It's beautiful. You can see it from the road. Or they started selling their signature wine in plastic bottles. Which is it there?
I'm going with the choice A.
Okay, so you're saying they began producing varietals
other than their White Zen.
Their White Zen. Sorry, Patty. They started selling their signature
in plastic
wine.
Bottles.
Yes, the White Zinfandel in plastic bottles.
If you had said box, I would have gone with box.
Yeah.
But in plastic, really?
Here's the deal. They found that, so they ship. They're one of the largest producers of wine in the world. And what they found was that a plastic bottle is 1/6 the weight of a glass bottle.
So it was more economical to ship in plastic.
Right, and saved a lot of energy, fuel, and that sort of thing.
Interesting.
So, believe it or not, it's more environmental to do it the plastic way, at least according to...
It is a little bit hard to believe.
To their figures, and what they do is they line the inside of the bottle with a super micro-thin silicone lining so that the wine never comes in contact with the plastic. So, at any rate...
All right, who knew? Who knew?
Okay.
Not me, obviously.
Give me one, Patty.
Is there really a beer goddess... Harkening back to the homebrew days. Homebrew days, yes. Is there one? And if so, what's her name?
I'm going to say yes, there is, but I don't know the name.
Okay, so you get 50% right. You get a half a bell. I'm probably not going to say it right, but Nin something.
Okay.
Chief brewer of the gods in Mesopotamia, and she was a woman. Home brewing began women. We
women power.
It.
I'm not going to give myself the bell on that. I'm going to say that you
didn't get it.
I didn't get it. No. All right, Patty. Homewood Sweets.
Oh, one of my favorites. I used to stay there in Phoenix all the time.
Okay, so Homewood Sweets is a chain of upscale. So you might know this upscale residential style extended stay hotel properties with more than 300 locations in the U.S. In 1999, this chain was bought along with some sister properties for more than $3 billion by which major chains? Starwood, Marriott, or Hilton?
I think Hilton. Hilton?
You're going to go with the Hilton on that
Hilton.
one? All right, Patty.
Yes.
Miss Smarty Pants. This is a chain that began in, I think it was Nebraska, and then some of its sister properties are Embassy Suites, Hampton Inn, and Doubletree, and Hilton said, we want all of them, and here's $3 billion. So,
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we know. All right, here's my question number 3. You ready for it?
Yes, hit.
So, back to the home brewers, the first ones, the ancient ones. How did Sumerians, this is in the Mesopotamia area, some of the first beer brewers and drinkers, how did they drink their home brew? From a beer stein, a beer mug, a straw, or a clay pot?
I started the music too soon.
I know.
Sorry about that. I'll say from a clay pot.
I'll say you're wrong.
Really?
Can we get the... Thank you. A straw, a reed, actually, a straw. They didn't filter their brew. It had barley
Lots
and
of stuff.
And
it.
including insects.
Right.
The straw helped to avoid that.
I think in college I drank my beer through a straw.
The
just
beer
'cause
was
someone
like
said,
porridge, in fact.
"Oh, hey, I like that. It is what's for breakfast."
Yes.
All right, stick around, everyone. We're back in just a moment talking tasting parties. We'll explain why they may be better than your traditional dinner party. It's time to channel your inner cowboy or cowgirl with a bit of rustic elegance thrown in for an upcoming culinary experience in Paso Robles at Windfall Farms, an exclusive community that promotes and enhances the sustainability of local agriculture and celebrates equestrian, ranch, and agrarian lifestyles. The Paso Glow event is taking place Saturday evening, September the 29th, from 6 to 10 on the final night of this year's Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September 27th through the 30th, to culminate California Wine Month. The event will wow you with ranch-inspired delicacies prepared by the area's top chefs, the region's best wines, and the warm glow of many illuminated hot air balloons. To purchase tickets and for a full listing of activities, head to savorcentralcoast.com. During its heyday in the 1920s and 30s, San Luis Obispo County's Hearst Castle saw many a lavish party, attended by the rich and famous. Now you too can head to the castle for a once-in-a-lifetime experience featuring local, farm-inspired cuisine to celebrate the rich history of locavore living that Mr. Hearst pioneered in the region as you sip wine and sample fresh seafood, locally grown produce, and meats from nearby farmers and ranchers. Eco-friendly wine lovers will appreciate the vine-to-glass theme carried throughout the event, featuring the best vintages from the region. It's part of opening night for this year's Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September 27th through the 30th, to culminate California Wine Month. To purchase tickets and for a full listing of activities, head to savorcentralcoast.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. 9:19 the time, and a very good morning, everyone. Great to have you with us as always. My name is Randall White. You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network, and I am joined by my co-host and partner in crime, the lovely and talented Patty Piper. Good morning, Patty.
Good morning.
So one thing about Patty that I can tell you, I've known her for many years now, is she loves to host a dinner party.
This is true.
And so do I. And the two of us, it's like a back and forth. Is it going to be at our house? Is it going to be at your house? And each one has, varying reasons why it might be good or bad. Mm-hmm. The great thing is our dogs get along.
That is a plus.
Right.
Yes.
So we can mix the dogs together. Yes. And
they get their dog dinner party, and we get our big people dinner party.
But as you know, all of you listening, that throwing a dinner party can kind of be a pain sometimes, and expensive too, depending on what you're serving.
Patty, and a lot of work.
Yeah, Patty typically serves up an entire side of beef that she has brought in by the local butcher shop. I've never seen so many giant chunks of whatever it might be being thrown on the barbecue. Ricardo and I tend to do things more in both cases we always go family style, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But Ricardo and I like to do sort of the small plates thing, leaning more toward our topic for this segment, which is throwing a home tasting party.
I love it.
Right. Our guest who joins us right now has a very extensive resume. Dina Cheney, you've probably seen her work in one place or another, including, if you're a fan of Rachel Ray, she writes the Taste Test column for Every Day with Rachel Ray and joins us right now. Dina, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good to meet you guys.
Thank you for being with us this morning. We certainly appreciate it. And so you are a big fan of throwing a tasting party as opposed to a dinner party. Why?
For so many reasons. I mean, first of all, you were mentioning earlier, it's a lot easier than hosting a dinner party. I mean, there's no cooking, there's no cleanup. It's also a lot less expensive, I mean, it can be, especially if you host something like an apple tasting or even a chocolate tasting, it's really inexpensive. I went through an apple tasting. I think it cost me like $11 for like 6 to 8 people. I mean, it's really cheap.
And now's the time of year to do that. We're getting into apple season,
That's
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
And the other reason, there are a lot of other reasons. What else is fun about it? They're very novel. They're very different. So, dinner parties are great. We all love to sit down and break bread together, but it's kind of fun to do something different. And they're also very educational and fun and really good icebreakers, and you really learn about your fellow diners. So it's really a bonding experience.
That's really interesting. This is a total new one for me, but I love the idea. I guess this really lets you also explore options of something that you maybe wouldn't, like I wouldn't buy 10 or 12 different brands of apples normally.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah, for instance, if you don't know, what kind of cheese you like, or even you assume you always prefer milk chocolate, but maybe once you try dark chocolate, you'll say, I prefer 70%, cacao content chocolate. I mean, you learn about yourself and what you like.
I can't hear the word cacao without thinking of Portlandia. I don't know if you watch that show.
I don't. But I bet someone has a chocolate company, though. It's a trendy thing these days, right?
There are people listening right now who do watch that, and they know exactly what I'm talking about. Cacao. Anyway, there's so many different types of chocolate. You can get chocolates with jalapeno peppers in them now.
Right.
You name it. They mix them together. What a great idea. So it moves from the realm of being just a dinner party to almost to an educational experience.
Exactly. That's why I love it. I mean, obviously I'm a food writer, so I love food. I love to learn, and it's just kind of neat to be like a student again, but not in like a kind of stiff schoolmarmy way, but in a fun, very sensual, pleasurable way. So it's just a great way to learn, a fun way to learn.
So you've mentioned chocolate. That's an obvious one.
Yes,
chocolate,
definitely.
apples, cheese. What are some other ideas you can give us? What else can we taste?
Something maybe people hadn't thought of, like, a tasting party surrounding.
Okay, well, seriously, the sky is the limit. I mean, you could even, your favorite local, you could try a pizza from, local pizzerias and pick your favorite.
I love it.
Things like coffee, even salt you could do. In the book Tasting Club that I wrote a few years ago, that book, I think I have 10 chapters, and I did balsamic vinegar, extra virgin olive oil. I love tea tastings. Those are really fun. So it really depends, cured meats, bacon. You can have a bacon tasting. Everyone loves bacon. So really, even heirloom tomatoes in the summer. So it's really kind of honestly, whatever you're interested in learning more about.
And it could vary depending on the time of day you're throwing the party.
Yep.
If you're having people over for like early, late morning sort of thing, you might go around the coffee, like you said, coffee or tea, those sorts of things. How specific do you want to get with the tastings? Like, do you want people to fill out charts, where they're giving you their
feedback?
Yeah, get their feedback, or because sometimes, especially if we did a tasting just the other night of this new gluten-free omission beer, and I really did want to be scientific about it because I wanted people to be able to tell me whether or not they could tell which one was the beer that had no gluten in it, and so I was like filling out things and checking boxes and stuff
right.
How technical do you want to get?
I mean, yeah, it's funny because you mentioned, I write a taste test column for Every Day with Rachel Ray, and there we have grids, and because we're trying to pick the best products. I think for an at-home tasting, it's totally up to you and your crowd. So if you have a lot of lawyers or people who are very analytical, that kind of group would probably love grids and taking notes. And the good thing about writing things down is that it helps you kind of focus and really deep taste and really have really experience what you're tasting, and then you can remember it later on. Like you bring the sheet home with you, and then you'll be like, oh, I really loved this particular chocolate, and this is why, and you'll remember, you'll know what to buy. But it's seriously, if your crowd is sort of they're more partiers, they just want to have fun, or you know what I mean? They want to kind of
degenerates quickly, and you'll never get people to fill out the forms the way they're supposed to.
Exactly.
Now, just quickly, Dina, we were mentioning the sky's the limit when it comes to what you can be sampling, but I would imagine the time for throwing a tasting party as opposed to, say, a dinner or a lunch party shouldn't coincide with lunchtime and dinner time, right? Because people want more at that point.
They would be expecting a meal.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's such a complicated. That's a great point. You can do tastings a million different ways. You can incorporate a meal into a tasting if you want. Like you always could have served sandwiches at a wine tasting. You could do that if you wanted. But yeah, most tastings, what I would do is I would encourage people when you invite them, say, eat a salad or eat a light meal first, and then come over. Let your guests know what to expect, so they won't be hungry. Because if people are hungry, they won't be able to focus and enjoy the tasting. A fun thing too is if, let's say, you're doing like a dessert wine tasting, people would already have eaten, and then you could just serve, cake alongside the dessert wine. So it really, again, is it's very flexible, a very flexible medium or way of entertaining, and so however you want to do it, just give your guests the information so they know they can prepare themselves.
It sounds really fun. Now, I'm curious, Dina, have you ever thought of a tasting as like a potluck event? Bring your favorite chocolate, bring your favorite apple.
Good one.
Yeah, and that's a really good question. It's also a way to kind of cut the cost per person, and definitely, I mean, it's a great idea. And you could really do that with any of the tastings. The only thing I would say is, you don't want to have this, 2 of one sample, right?
So everyone bringing the same.
Maybe just coordinate and say, hey, what's everyone bringing? Just like you would with a potluck dinner and say, okay, you bring the salad, you bring the dessert, kind of coordinate. But I think that's a wonderful idea. Another way to learn about each other.
Ooh, I want to have a macaroni and cheese tasting.
Oh, I like the sound of that. Yeah,
and that's good for kids too. That would be great for kids too.
Wouldn't that be?
Yeah.
Right. And nowadays they have all different types of pasta, brown rice, and also even quinoa pasta for people that are
to really experiment.
Oh wait, can I give you guys one tip though? Because I've had to do pasta tastings for Rachel Ray. Make sure whatever you choose, it's not too difficult. Like you don't want to be boiling pasta like 10 different pastas in the last minute. Make it easy for yourself. Make it trust
Good
me. I've
point.
had to serve 25 pastas in one night, and it was not fun.
Oh
so
gosh!
Just make sure it's not stressful. The whole point is you want to have fun and be relaxed.
Dina, we only have about 30 seconds left,
sure.
and I should have asked you prior to all of this, but I'm just curious, how did you become a tasting expert? You know what I mean? Like, there's some people fall into different categories. You've become like the expert on sampling.
Gosh, I mean, I have a good palate. I'm a recipe developer, food writer. I did professional chocolate tastings for companies. Started writing the column for Rachel Ray, and it sort of spread into the book tasting club, and
I love it.
It's gone from there.
Well, I got to tell you, your website's fun. You're fun. We need to have you back on again. DinaCheney.com. It's that easy. DINA and then Cheney, just like the former vice president.
But we're not related.
But no relationship, I've been told. Hey, Dina, thank you so much. We'll have you on again sometime soon, okay?
My pleasure. Good talking to you guys.
Stick around, everyone. Make your own beer and then have a tasting party.
There
we'll talk
you go.
about that next.
The historic Santa Margarita Ranch, exactly halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles off Highway 101, was founded in the mid-1700s and served as an assistant mission to the nearby mission in San Luis Obispo. The 14,000 acres that make up the ranch today have served a variety of purposes over the years, including grazing land for large herds of Mexican cattle, prime vineyard land, and this fall will once again host the main event for Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September the 27th through the 30th to culminate California Wine Month. Meet top chefs from the Central Coast as well as nationally recognized culinary celebrities. Several chef demonstrations will be featured, including the Battle of the Bay, hosted by the Food Network's Ted Allen of Chopped. To purchase tickets, head to savorcentralcoast.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly.
Welcome back to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio network. Here now is your fabulous host, Mr. Randall White.
9:33 the time on this Sunday morning, Sunday Fun Day as we like to call it here at the Eat, Drink, Explore studios. And I'm joined by Patty Pyburn as well, who is a person who loves to make things herself, whether it's teriyaki sauce or barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Mustard,
big on the sauces.
Yes. The condiments. I love to make my own condiments.
Now, what about making your own, say, cheese or wine or beer? Have you ever...
I haven't gone that far. are, but I keep telling my brother he should learn to be a vintner, and he's like, "Why should I?" And I said, "Because I don't have time." But I think someone in this house should start making alcohol. Anyways,
and quickly.
He hasn't done it yet, but
well, there is a one-stop shop down the road in Los Angeles area, the Woodland Hills, and it's called it's a good name for it. It's the beer, wine, cheese making shop.
Perfect.
Cheesemaker shop, I believe. Sean Fitzgerald is the person you'll come in contact with when you step in the door there, and he joins us right now to talk a little bit about making these products that you typically pick up at the store. Sean, welcome to Eat, Drink, Explore.
Hey, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, so what do you typically get there? What type of person typically walks through the door? Do they just start bombarding you with questions? How do I do this? What do I do? Or are they already passionate? By the time they find your store, they're already passionate about it.
Questions a lot, always. People always walk through the door and think I'm some sort of magician that can teach them to do some sort of magic by making beer or wine. But once you actually get going a little bit and just take the basics, it's actually really simple. You can always make things really complex the more advanced you get. But for just the average person walking through, I've seen all types of people, everyone from college kids who think it's going to be the coolest thing in the world to elderly people who said, I've had this plant growing on in my yard for years, and now I want to make some wine out of it.
Right, and you don't have to live in L.A. to access your shop. You do a lot of your business online nowadays, I imagine.
We do UPS orders, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so I've never considered being like a home winemaker because I have one Cabernet plant at home. I actually do. It's thriving, but I don't have a vineyard, so therefore I never even think about
how you would do your own wine.
Home winemaking. How does somebody get into that?
Well, with one Cabernet plant, yeah, you might be having a little bit of difficulty getting a lot of wine out of that. Generally, it takes roughly about 15 to 20 pounds of grapes to make a gallon of wine.
Oh.
So people, I've heard people growing small vineyards, but barring that, you can also pick up fruit from numerous vineyards around, the California area,
right.
Especially now during the season. Some of them are more than happy to sell you grapes to let you do it on your own.
I never thought of that. Yeah, so just contract out at a vineyard and say, hey, I need a lot of grapes.
I've heard everything from a vineyard saying that it's a 500-pound minimum to it's free, but you got to come out here and pick it yourself.
Right, because I would imagine in some cases they do need to get rid of some of the
And
fruit.
here on the Central Coast, there is a home winemakers club where they kind of go in together to buy grapes and share equipment and things. So people who are truly interested can get started through this club, and you don't necessarily have to take the full plunge.
Yeah, and I saw some of the equipment that you have there in the shop. I would imagine some of that's expensive, like the presses might be the most expensive part.
Yeah, the presses and what's called the crusher distemmers, which you actually put the vines through, which pluck the grapes from the vine and crush them, so you get this grape swamp that's ready to be turned into wine. And yeah, those are the priciest aspects of what you're doing. Luckily, a lot of places who actually sell you grapes will let you use their equipment as part of an incentive to do that.
Oh.
But once again, as you were saying, we do have a wine club down here called the Cellar Masters. And yes, they do all go in together, and they have club equipment which they all let each other use.
Now, your specialty is home brewing, right?
I have done beer more than I have done wine. The owner of the shop, John Dame, who also owns his own winery out in Camarillo called the Camarillo Custom Crush.
Oh.
I'm kind of apprenticing that at the moment. I started with beer brewing, and the more I'm getting into it, part of my continued education is him to give me some grapes, and he's getting me some Syrah this year. I'm very excited.
I like that.
That is exciting. So is it a little bit easier, and this is my take on it, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, to take on home brewing of beer is a little more, not quite as intense as starting out with wine. Am I right or wrong about that?
Well, around here, you ask what's harder to make, beer or wine? And the wine people will tell you it's harder to make beer, and the beer people will tell you it's harder to make wine.
Okay.
It's just two different mentalities. Wine, you're basically working with the grapes God gave you. You can't make bad wine. Can't make good wine from bad grapes.
Right.
Beer is much more about cooking. You are literally, that's why it's called a brew. You're literally boiling it all up on your stove and adding ingredients as you see fit. So there are some people who come in and they've made beer with the four basics: yeast, hops, water, and barley. And then there are people coming in saying, I threw some saffron in here, and then I threw some habanero, and then I put some cocoa nibs. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they open up a bottle. I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, because it really is just about any type of concoction you want to put together when it comes to a brew of beer, like you mentioned. And you can be as industrious or as lazy as you like, right? You can buy just a barley syrup, or you can actually mash that stuff yourself.
Yeah, mash. You know the lingo. Yes, when you go through the mashing process, you're basically through a chemical process breaking down carbohydrates into fermentable sugars. It can be a slightly lengthy process and take a little more of a keen eye. But as you were saying, yes, there are extracts of that, either in powdered form or syrup form, that take that aspect out of it and makes it a little bit simpler, and then you're free to do some of the simpler and more creative stuff, like adding different kinds of hops or different kinds of yeast to your batch.
So cheese is included in this homemaking venture. That seems also a little, something I would be wanting to do, but right now seems a little too, I don't know, complicated.
Right. I would love to make my own cheese just so I can say I made that. What types of cheese when someone comes into your shop, or what do you sell the most of? Like, is there a certain type of starter yeast that's used the most, like for cheddar or for blue cheese? Where do people tend to want to go on that?
Well, that's funny you should say something like that, because people come in and they want to make something that they've had the most. They want to come in and make a light lager. I'm like, well, believe it or not, that's one of the hardest beers to make. People come in and say, I want to make cheddar. I'm like, well, believe it or not, that's one of the more difficult ones to make.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, because with cheddar, you actually have to press it out with a press and harden the cheese that way. And a lot of times it likes to be aged, so you have to cover it with some wax and stick it away and forget about it for a while. So we mainly start people out with good old mozzarella. It doesn't take much, some good milk, and you add something that's called rennet to it. And rennet, it helps make the curd. So after a while, you get this little layer of cheese on the top of your stove as you're letting it simmer. You scoop out the curds, you massage it with your hands, and you have mozzarella.
Really?
Oh, interesting.
And is it like, the mozzarella that you buy that's in sort of a watery mixture? That's how it comes out?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, you can get a ball of mozzarella that you can start putting on your pizzas.
Right.
Oh, okay.
I love fresh mozzarella.
I do too.
Cut it into slices with an heirloom tomato right now, some olive oil, a little bit of basil.
And once again, just like the creativity, people come in and it's like, I've added a touch of garlic to this, or I've soaked this in a brine solution, so it brought out some of the basil flavors. And it's like, wow.
Interesting.
Right.
Okay, so what about something that seems also complicated to me, like a triple cream or a brie, or like something like that? Are those cheeses difficult to make?
Brie can be a slightly more difficult one because brie actually has that outer coating, which is another, I guess I could say, bacteria. So you have to put it in a nice environment where that natural coating is in a humid and cool environment. So once again, unless you got a refrigerator with a humidity controller, it's a little more
complicated. Okay.
Now, along the lines of cheese making, what is it exactly you would be selling? You're just selling the starter yeast, or do you actually sell the cream and all that sort of thing?
Well, it's not necessarily yeast. You're using bacterial cultures now, so a slightly different family of microbes. But as my owner says here, we have everything but the cow. So we leave you on your own to find a good source of milk. Unfortunately, not any milk from the store would work. You need something that's not ultra pasteurized. But we have, as I was saying, rennet, citric acid, which helps make the curds, and we have a lot of different cheese cultures back there, so you can start making artisan cheeses.
There really is a movement toward wanting to know where your food comes from. I would imagine business. You can't get any closer to knowing where your food comes from than making it yourself. So I would imagine there is a movement toward buying the types of products you're selling. Have you seen that in the last several years that people...
Business is awesome right now, honestly.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it's great. Just as you're saying, the green movement. Cheese making, which is usually our weakest aspect of the store, is almost one of the staples now. We're in this renaissance right now of appreciating beer and microbrews. So I'm getting people coming in all over the place wanting to make beer and wine. I mean, eventually people are like, why not?
Right.
And they're coming on in and having a good time with it.
It's right up there with that locavore movement of eating locally, is just make your own stuff.
Yeah.
It is. So your website, it list it off for me.
No, it's www.homebeerwinecheese.com. homebeerwinecheese.com.
Okay, so homebeerwinecheese.com. Do the words go in the order of what's most popular that you sell?
Oh, I would say so. Now you mention it. It's not serendipitous. All right.
Right. So, okay, so it's homebeerwinecheese.com. If you don't live in the LA area, it doesn't matter. As Sean told us, they do plenty of UPS work as well, shipping the stuff out. Or just find one of the local shops that's near you as well and get on the movement. Or as Patty's been telling her brother, get on it and start making some booze here at the house.
That's right.
Sean Fitzgerald, you did a great job. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Good reason to get out of bed this morning.
Fantastic. Next time I'm down in the LA area, we're going to swing by there. I just want to at least meet you. So thanks a lot, Sean.
You got it. Take care.
All right. So coming up next, we will be interviewing a couple of travel journalists. And keep in mind, our compass word this hour is home. So we just had the home brewing and that sort of thing. We had the doing a home tasting party. Now we're talking about leaving home in order to find yourself. That's what this top travel journalist says you need to do. You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio show. I'm your host, Randall White, joined by Patty Pyburn, and we are back in just a moment on this Sunday morning. It's time to channel your inner cowboy or cowgirl with a bit of rustic elegance thrown in for an upcoming culinary experience in Paso Robles at Windfall Farms, an exclusive community that promotes and enhances the sustainability of local agriculture and celebrates equestrian, ranch, and agrarian lifestyles. The Paso Glow event is taking place Saturday evening, September the 29th, from 6 to 10 on the final night of this year's Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September 27th through the 30th, to culminate California Wine Month. The event will wow you with ranch-inspired delicacies prepared by the area's top chefs, the region's best wines, and the warm glow of many illuminated hot air balloons. To purchase tickets and for a full listing of activities, head to savorcentralcoast.com. The historic Santa Margarita Ranch, exactly halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles off Highway 101, was founded in the mid-1700s and served as an assistant mission to the nearby mission in San Luis Obispo. The 14,000 acres that make up the ranch today have served a variety of purposes over the years, including grazing land for large herds of Mexican cattle, prime vineyard land, and this fall will once again host the main event for Sunset Savor the Central Coast, the West Coast premier food and wine event, September the 27th through the 30th, to culminate California Wine Month. Meet top chefs from the Central Coast as well as nationally recognized culinary celebrities. Several chef demonstrations will be featured, including the Battle of the Bay, hosted by the Food Network's Ted Allen of Chopped. To purchase tickets, head to savorcentralcoast.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly.
Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break, and we'll be back on the air shortly. And a very good morning on this Sunday, 9:49 the time. Those of you listening online or via our Ustream feed, during the commercial break, you hear me say Saturday morning. It's not Saturday. It's Sunday. Nope. Sunday fun day. And a great day to get out and start exploring. And in the words of our next guest, leave home. You need to leave home to find yourself. That is the philosophy that will be spoken about on Tuesday night in San Luis Obispo. If you have a chance to come down from Monterey, Santa Cruz, Santa Clara counties, down to San Luis here to listen to Judith Fine, a travel journalist and author, and her husband and cohort, photojournalist Paul Ross. They'll be speaking. It's part of the San Luis Obispo Public Library series, and they'll have a presentation, and it includes wine tasting. So how can you not like that, Patty
Fabulous.
Pyburn? Right. If I forgot to mention, I'm Randall White, joined by co-host Patty Pyburn, and we have Judith on the line right now. Judith Fine. She is in Santa Barbara doing what she loves to do, travel. Good morning, Judith.
Good morning, Randall.
Yes, great to have you with us. You must be excited to head up this way and talk a little bit about leaving home to find yourself.
Yes, that's exactly what we're doing right now. We've left home. We're always finding ourselves, and we're always leaving home.
Now, home base is in New Mexico. I'm jealous. Santa Fe. I love that area.
Santa Fe, New Mexico. Don't you wish you had the desert?
You know what? I'm a huge desert fan. I really am. And so I head to Palm Springs. That's as close as I get.
That's as close as you get.
Right. So I've been reading your book, and I absolutely love it. You tell some great stories. And
you're my ideal audience. Thank you. Because, listen, if you just switch the order around, explore, eat, drink, that's our life.
Right? Yes, exactly. And I just have to call you a camel eater.
Oh, no.
Judith tells the most amazing story. If you buy travel books just to find out where which hotel you want to stay in, Judith's books are not the ones for you. She tells stories and people stories, and she has such a great one. You were in Israel, right?
Oh, Randall, I knew you were going to do that because of the eat angle. We were in actually in Samaria, in the northern territory, and it's between the Palestinian territory and Israel, where the ancient Samaritans live. As in the Good Samaritan, there are about 700 left in the world, and we went to stay with them.
Yes, and she met this descendant of all of the top biblical characters you can think of, and she's having this wonderful conversation with him, and then she throws out that she had eaten camel, and that just changed everything, right?
Okay, so he was talking about the Bible, because they are descended, can you believe this, from the brother of Moses, Aaron, the brother of Moses. They trace their lineage back to him, and I'm with the high priest of the ancient Samaritans in his turban, in his robe, in his house. We are new best friends. We're getting along. We're talking about everything. And he mentions camel. And I said, oh, I once ate camel. And that was the end of the conversation. I was practically ladled out of his house on a spoon. And I said, well, what did I do? What did I do? And it seems that the worst thing you can do is to eat camel.
It is. It's worse than pork.
It is. It makes pork look like chicken, okay? It's a really, really bad idea to eat camel. But I didn't know how to backtrack. And there I am with the high priest in his robe, in his stately house. And I said, well, I didn't really eat it. I kind of pushed it around my plate. I just took a little taste. But camel, that's the worst thing you could do. And I didn't know what to do, and he said, you have to repent. Well, Randall, if I said to you this morning, repent, what would you do?
What would I do to repent? I'm not a big
I don't
repenter.
know.
You're not. Of course, it's not something that comes easily to the tongue. Like, well, how do you repent?
Right.
And I thought, okay, maybe I can buy my way out of this. And we had just come from North Vietnam and had a 20,000 North Vietnamese dong note in my wallet. 20,000 is probably worth $2. And I pulled it out and I said, could I repent with money, with dong? I'm trying to buy my way out of Camel with dong.
Uh-oh.
And turns out he's a coin collector and he wanted dong.
Well, perfect.
So I bought my way out of eating Camel with a dog. And luckily, he had a sense of humor, but I understand that in the community of the Samaritans, they still refer to me as that camel eater.
Well, that's why I had to call you out on it. And say that you're the
I've been camel outed by you, Randall.
I'll tell you what, Judith. I just think it's a great story to explain where you're coming from when you say leaving home to find yourself. You go places, and these are the type of experiences, maybe not exactly the way that it played out for you, but you don't want to just lay on the beach and soak up the sun and find out where the best restaurant is in town. You want to mix in with the culture, and then that helps you find out who you are.
What's a beach?
What's a beach?
No, but here's the deal. It would be a completely vain and vainglorious activity to write a book just about I did this, I did that. The idea is that I try to take the reader with me so that the reader understands how you can have experiences every time you walk out of your house. Mm-hmm. That's the goal, that you do not have to go to the high priest of the ancient Samaritans, but you have to have a mindset that allows you to have adventure in your own town, in the next town, wherever you go, that you're in the adventure mindset.
So, Judith, what is the key to that? Do you think that it is stepping outside of ourselves and remembering to stop looking at our personal device, our iPhone or what have you, and like interact and connect with the people around us? Is that what we're missing?
Yes. For example, we were in Ojai yesterday, okay? And it was at night, and my husband Paul and I were going for a walk, and we went into a neighborhood, and there were 3 African kids, adorable kids, and they were practicing a cheerleader routine. So you can walk by and say, there are 3 kids practicing a cheerleader routine, but they couldn't lift up one of the girls. She kept falling, and they were giggling, and we stopped. And we started talking to these kids, and we became their audience, and more kids came. And suddenly, we're having this private cheerleader performance by these little kids, and they're giggling, they have an audience, and suddenly they're learning how to throw. That's an adventure, as opposed to just being absorbed in yourself and your life and your iPhone and your iPad and your whatever.
And that would be easy to do there in Ohio. You go to the wine tasting, you go to dinner, you go back to your spa, and you find yourself in your little bubble as
Correct.
Opposed to mixing with the locals of
Exactly
Ohio.
correct,
Yeah.
yes. So it's a matter of you have to indulge your curiosity. You have to really be curious about other people. But the secret, and you have to have an open heart. Just be open to whatever happens. But here's the thing. The secret is that everybody, you want to go, you want to climb to the top of the Himalayas, and you want to consult with a guru. And all the guru would probably tell you is be in the now. Just be wherever you are. And you can do it. You could save yourself the air ticket to the Himalayas. Yeah. Just be present to what happens. That's the healed state. That's how you heal.
Judith Fine, author of Life is a Trip, The Transformative Magic of Travel. Love the book. Highly recommend it. And you can meet Judith 7 o'clock for wine tasting, 7:30 for the presentation, downtown San Luis Obispo at the library there on Palm Street. Judith, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you for listening this morning here at Eat, Drink, Explore Radio.
You've been listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio program. If you missed any of our segments today, look for them online or through our free Apple and Android apps. Catch you back right here next week.